Hello everyone, Ryan here. So I wanted to try something somewhat new for my channel. Decided to do a thing called Music Mondays, in which I just talk about the different bands, groups, artists, musicians that I've been listening to, that I listen to on a regular basis. Also some that I maybe am not too familiar with, but still listen to once in a while. Now, of course, obviously, most of these bands that I listen to are rock bands, heavy metal bands, hard rock, within the general rock genre. But I do also listen to some blues, jazz, and funk once in a while. And then, of course, the occasional pop kind of stuff. But nothing too commercial, really. So anyways, yeah. First band I wanted to talk about is one that I know that too few people actually know about. And that's probably in large part because they only put out one album. It's a band called Pulse Ultra, and they were from Montreal, I believe, Montreal-based band, and Montreal, Quebec, if I'm not mistaken. And but I do believe maybe one or two of the members were from I want to say like Toronto, Canada, or Ontario, somewhere in Canada too. So somewhere like that. So their first and only album is titled Headspace. It was released sometime in July of 2002, and I remember when I first bought it, I first purchased it, and I don't really remember how I heard about this band. Though I do believe, because back then I used to read a lot of guitar magazines, and I want to say I came across an interview with the guitar player, who is named Dominic Cifarelli, and so I came across this interview with him, and he was talking about the different bands that influenced him and ultimately influenced the sound of the band as well, the other guys in the band. And I found it interesting. So I took a chance, and I believe it was the next day or a couple of days later, I purchased their album, Headspace. And I was definitely blown away. I guess I was expecting like a typical kind of heavy metal band, hard rock band. But that's not really the sound that they had. I mean, they have elements of heavy metal, definitely. They have elements of typical kind of hard rock stuff. But then that's also other elements too. I guess you could also classify them as nu metal as well, because nu metal, of course, being the genre that was coined in order to describe other bands like Slipknot or Mudvayne or Korn, and those bands that tended to mix elements of rap, hip-hop with heavy metal. And so, I mean, as far as Pulse Ultra is concerned, they do have that, or rather had that, because they're no longer together. But they also had a very progressive aspect to their sound. It also included like different jazz elements, blues elements, pop elements. I mean, I would even go so far as to say like some Middle Eastern kind of influences, and yeah, overall just a very eclectic sound. But at the same time, they still managed to create catchy hooks, catchy choruses, and memorable, I guess you could say, memorable guitar riffs, memorable lyrics. For me, I feel like, yeah, it was just very creative. I mean, I encourage you to give it a listen. Again, you know, it's not the typical heavy metal kind of stuff that you think of when you think of most heavy metal or most hard rock bands. There is an element to that, but, you know, and not to mention the singer, he also had a very unique range, I feel, unique tone, but also unique range. He could really hit those high notes, and to the point where he could, you know, he could easily go back and forth from a very deep register to a very high register, and then also in between, but then fluctuate too, back and forth. You know, I would say that, you know, usually you could credit that with studio magic, except that I've seen some of their live performances. That's another thing too. There are several, I guess you could say, video clips of their live performances on YouTube. I'll link to some of those down below. You can check those out. I'll also link to where you can listen to some of the songs on their album. You can also stream it on Spotify. All you gotta do is look it up, and but I'll also provide a link to that too if you want to check that out on Spotify. Yeah, it's just, they had a very eclectic sound, and to me it's disappointing that they didn't follow through. I mean, it's my understanding that while they were in the middle of recording their second album, that's when things kind of fell apart, I guess. Something to do with their record label. There was some conflict with their record label, and yeah, I guess the guys in the band, you know, they pretty much decided that they didn't want to deal with the hassle of, you know, having to live up to what the record label was expecting of them. And yeah, I mean, in a sense, I could definitely understand that, definitely agree with that. It's just too bad that that's often the case with up and coming bands, and, you know, they end up, I guess, I would say cracking under the pressure, but not really so much cracking under the pressure, but just, you know, deciding that, you know, pretty much they don't want to have to deal with any more bullshit from the record label or other record executives. And but it is one of my all-time favorite albums, definitely. This album, Headspace by Pulse Ultra. Again, definitely check it out, especially if you're a fan of hard rock, and even if you're a fan of pop. I mean, because, again, like I said, so many other aspects, there are so many other aspects to their sound. And so, yeah, that'll do it for this first Music Monday. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. And again, if you want to check out Headspace by Pulse Ultra or any other songs or live performances, links will be down below in the description area, so definitely check those out. Yeah. And that'll do it. Once again, thanks for watching. As always, till next time, don't forget, keep it real, keep on rocking, and peace.